this is Zia and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft Season Clockwork. We are reading the 14th story of, well, Season Clockwork. And we are on episode 53, chapter 1, Perspective of Tango. You've seen it. You see it all on screen right now. And well, this will hopefully be the last story for this sort of series for a while. Like, I don't want to make it too long. It's already pretty long, and so, yeah. This seems like a good place to end. Well, I guess we'll see. You guys can let me know once the story is done, when the finale comes out. I mean, finale, quote unquote, but yeah, we'll see. Chapter 1. It had been a few weeks since the last appearance of Mr. A's men, everything seeming to return back to its usual state. The men once again hiding in the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike. Nothing much had changed, apart from the request for more cause members to help keep an eye on the hermits, which Tango felt should have been done long before the attacks to begin with. But then again, would it really make much of a difference in the long run? More power didn't necessarily mean more protection. It just meant that the men had to be a bit more smarter when it came to trying to get to them. This was partly why Tango had come to visit his friends over at Impulse's base to help finish the gadget that they had started working on, so that they could have some level of planning if the men did choose to strike. They'd managed to find something that his friend was looking for, as he helped set up the machine in the hallway, small enough to be barely visible if you knew what you were looking for. Make sure it's secured to the wall, Impulse reminded him, as Tango nodded, attaching what part he had to the wall, making sure its grip was tight and firm. Nothing was going to shake it off that easily. That should do it, right? Tango asked as he got to his feet, brushing himself off as he saw beat-ups near the end of the hallway, putting in another machine as he too got to his feet. In theory, yeah. Impulse nodded as he walked over to something on the wall and pressed it. Tango, feeling a slight breeze brush his ankles as he looked over at the machine. Well, it seems to be on, at least. Tango admitted with a chuckle as he stepped away from it, the breeze fading like vapor as he no longer felt it anymore. Now for the big test, Beat-Up said confidently as he pulled out an invisibility potion as he looked to his friends, waiting. Go for it. It shouldn't hurt, Impulse assured him. It's meant to reveal where you are if you're invisible. You shouldn't feel a thing. Got it, Beat-Up said with a grin as he consumed the potion, disappearing out of thin air before their eyes. For a moment, he and his friends couldn't see anything apart from the bubbles, and then Tango could see what appeared to be feet surrounded by air and mist on the floor, walking around. Can you see me? It's looking great, Impulse said happily. How does it feel? Like a breeze, Beat-Up said casually. I think it's ready to be set up elsewhere, don't you? It's going to be a bit of work, Impulse admitted with a nod. It shouldn't be too difficult, since we know how to make it properly now, Tango replied as he took out his communicator as Beat-Ups reappeared, approaching them calmly. Should we let people know? Not yet, Impulse said quickly, as he walked back toward the workshop, hidden in one of the rooms that Tango followed him. We still can't be sure if the men somehow hear our conversations on this thing when they're activated. Do you think they've managed to hack in somehow? Beat-Ups asked with some uncertainty. They must have, if the men have been able to trick Jem before, Impulse replied as he headed for the communicator on the table, the one he'd collected from Green after hearing what had happened. He'd given his friend a spare while he looked at this one. It was more of a safety precaution. Did you find anything? Tango questioned, and he let his friend have some space as he turned around the device to look at the back. Nothing yet, Impulse replied quietly. It's possible you just used some of the features on it, rather than anything else. It's very easy to turn off a signal once it's turned on. And maybe we add something to make sure it isn't as easy for the men to just turn it off, like fingerprints? Beat-Up said. Not reliable, Impulse pointed out. It's just as use us to disable it at that point. Alright. You don't even need to be cautious. I think nodded. So what do we do about it? I don't know. I need some time to think about it. Impulse sighed, as well as maybe taking a look at an older communicator to see how they dealt with it. Not a bad idea, Tango agreed with a nod. The hermit smiled as he looked up at his friends. If you want, you are free to go. We'll be fine here. You say so, B-Dubs replied with a nod as he glanced out the window. Just be careful. Oh well. Impulse chuckled. We can plan on working on getting the other hermits some of these gadgets. Preferably people whom the men might target first. I'll be here bright and early, Tango agreed with a nod. Me too, B-Dubs said confidently, before hesitating. Well, of course I sleep in a little. The other hermits laughed as they wished each other well. Tango heading down the stairs and towards the front door to see Tyler waiting outside from the window. The hermit opened the door as he stepped out, looking up at the bright blue sky. Everything went all right? Tyler asked him curiously, as the cause member headed towards him. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out a few security stuff, Tango replied matter-of-factly. Hopefully we can set up some new things later this week. I see. The man nodded. Stuff you want to tell me? No, here. Tango chuckled and smiled. Very well. Let's get you home and we can talk about it there. The man said, returning the smile as they both launched themselves into the air as they glided away, back towards the safety of his home. Chapter 2. As he promised the day before, Tango had a ride back to Impulse's base bright and early. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon. He couldn't see anyone outside with him, apart from his escort, as he went for the door and knocked. Blake opened the door as he smiled at the innkeeper, welcoming him in as he stepped aside. Is Impulse awake yet, or am I early to the party? Tango asked him once the door was closed. He's trying to do some things last night, Blake said softly. Probably on a few hours of sleep. I shouldn't be surprised. Tango sighed as he thanked the man, hearing the escort tell him his friend was upstairs, as he climbed the stairs and headed down the hallway as he found his friend's workshop door opened. Stepping inside to see his friend was examining a communicator alongside his own, evaluating it as he switched some things around for a few moments. Too far in zone to notice him. Tango didn't mind as he walked into the room and over to another communicator, which hadn't been touched as he looked at it. Nothing much about it looked any different than he'd seen before. Oh, hi, Tango, Impulse finally said, interrupting the hermit's train of thought as he looked up to his friend, unable to help himself but noticed that there were small bags in his eyes. I didn't see it come in. No, it's okay, Tango replied quickly as he put down the device. I didn't want to interrupt you. The hermit smiled and nodded, stifling back a yawn as he picked up one of the devices. I think I fixed it, or at least made it more difficult to hack into. Not impossible, though. It doesn't have to be perfect, Tango said encouragingly. I know, but I want it to be at least a little more reliable, you know? Impulse said calmly. I know, Tango agreed. I can see you've been working hard. Yeah. Impulse nodded as he put down the device and went over to a shulker box. I've already pre-made some and talked with Korean last night about putting these in his place. He's still at Gems and Pearl's base for the time being. Matthias still doesn't think it's safe enough for him to go home. Tango questioned curiously. Apparently, Impulse said. To be fair, he's trying to be careful to make sure that the man doesn't get a chance to hurt him again. Until he's satisfied with the new recruits, of course. Yeah, I guess that's sort of important, Tango chuckled. So we're going over there to set stuff up. That's the plan, Impulse agreed as he picked up the box and stored it in his pocket. Ready? Of course. Tango nodded as he followed his friend into the hallway as he noticed his friend look back warily before going towards the stairs, feeling the unease as he tried his hardest not to do the same as he followed his friend down the stairs and to the door. We've got a few things to set up today, Impulse told Blake simply. All right, then. Blake nodded before pausing. You sure you're up to it, though? I'll be fine, the YouTuber reassured him with a smile. I can try to rest once this is done, if it makes you feel better. The cause member nodded. His impulse headed to the door and opened it, Tango glancing over to his shoulder over at Blake, wondering what was going on. Clearly there was more to what was going on than he was aware of. He didn't say anything for the entire journey to Korean space, landing just before his friend as he noticed his friend falter a little as he landed before going into the base as Tango followed him. Aside, watching him put down the box. Is everything alright with you? Tango asked curiously. Yeah, what makes you say that? Impulse asked curiously as he took out one of the small gadgets. They were a little smaller than the communicators. Could fit in the palm of his hand. A lot of things, Tango said simply. Have you been sleeping well lately? I've been distracted with important stuff. Impulse shrugged as Tango took out a gadget as well. Began to pat. Sleep's important too, you know. Tango pointed out. I know. Impulse replied quietly. Just had a few rough nights, that's all. Nightmares? Tango guessed. Impulse sighed, nodding his head as he secured his device, not saying anything. He didn't need to. Tango went over to the other side of the hall and attached one of the devices. Once he was satisfied, he stepped back towards the box and continued helping his friend, setting up some of the rooms and hallways around the house, making sure they didn't interfere with anything that had been set up before. Tango looked into the box around half an hour or so later, seeing it was almost halfway empty. They'd done well today, as he closed it back up, looking around the empty area. The silence almost felt unnerving before he heard someone coming down the stairs. He looked up to see his friend coming down, stumbling a little as he read the startled expression on his friend's face. I think now's a good time to go, Impulse reported as he picked up the box next to the other hermit and hurriedly stored it away. Is everything? Tango asked. Later, Impulse said quickly. Okay? Okay, Tango replied with a frown as he followed his friend outside, glancing back behind him, almost swearing he'd seen a few bubbles floating around the stairwell. He didn't have much time to think about it, though, as he was forced to follow his friend with Blake, Tyler, close behind. Unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. I mean, I could continue to chapter 3, but we're going to end it there. Actually, no, we can continue. Chapter 3. You can see. They arrived back at Impulse's base as they landed on the grass below, seeing his friend almost rushing to the door as he opened it, looking back to see Tango walking toward the door. His friend was looking towards the trees nervously, ushering him inside before stepping away from the door. Tango watched him head over to the window of the main room and close the blinds before finally sitting on the couch with a heavy sigh as he heard the door close behind him. Tango looking back to see their escorts watching them. The hermit walked over to his friend as he sat down beside him. Is everything okay? It didn't feel safe to be in there, he replied quietly. I was just finishing everything up when I saw something down the hallway. Someone was in there with us. Do you know who? Tango asked. It could have been one of the other hermits. It wasn't. Impulse said simply, shaking his head. Did he say something to you? Tango asked wearily, looking up to see Blake quietly taking out a communicator. No, he didn't have to, Impulse sighed. It's not the first time I've seen him. How did you know we were there? Tango asked. Communicator? What do you think? Impulse asked as he looked at him. He didn't need a communicator, so long as we didn't pay attention to our surroundings. Tango swallowed and nodded. Why is he haunting you? I don't know. Impulse admitted, shifting his gaze to the escorts. It's going on for a little over a week now. I didn't expect him to be there. I got scared. Well, it's good that you two got out of there when you did, Tyler replied simply. There's no telling what he could have done if he gotten a chance to do anything. Impulse nodded his head again. As Tango put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Do you want me to stay with you today? I don't mind, Impulse said with a soft whisper, for managing a smile. I'm not alone here, though. You should try to get some sleep, Blake told him simply. I'll let Matthias and Devin know what happened today. They already know what was going on? They already knew what was going on, Tango asked in surprise. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't need to, Blake smiled. Don't know. I guess so. Tango sighed and he said, I'll stay here for a little bit while I get more stuff. See if any other hermits want some of those gadgets set up. Jim and Pearl's bases wouldn't be bad candidates, Blake said simply. Make sure those are on the top of the list. Right, I can do that. Tango nodded. Daisy glanced over at his friend. You'll be okay? Yeah. Impulse smiled. I trust you. One goal away if you need me, Tango said firmly. I know. Impulse chuckled as he stood up. Want to walk back to my room for a minute? I don't think the guy would be here right now, but it'd be nice. Yeah, I can. Tango nodded as he led the way to the stairs, climbing them up as the two of them made for the bedroom. Hesitating once they arrived, Impulse took out the shulker box, handing it to him. See you later, then, Impulse said with a small smile as he opened the door. Tango pocketing the box away. Expect me to check on you before the day's done, Tango replied with a nod, gesturing to the device in his pocket. I will. Impulse nodded as he stepped aside. Have fun! You too, Tango agreed as the door closed, the hermit walking into his friend's workshop to make a few more of the gadgets before storing them in the closet. In the chest. Ay, chihuahua. The shulker box. That's the wrong thing. I spelled shulker wrong. No. There we go. Boom. Taking his time as he pulled out his communicator to set up some last-minute appointments. He knew it would help his friend feel better knowing someone was taking care of something like this. He wanted to do what he could to help, and this was a small task he knew he could handle. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Yes, that was a short chapter. Probably why I continued. I'll see you guys in the next one, whatever that might be. Goodbye.